Danielle Smith is once again back in the news for using the notwithstanding clause once again, this time targeting transgender youth because, she's eyeing to be a Republican, but she just can't get Alberta to secede and join America yet. This woman promised that she wouldn't be using the notwithstanding clause for just any willy-nilly thing that she didn't want to deal with, which was obviously a lie, and now we have proof. She's being challenged by a federation of doctors that represents 75,000 doctors in Alberta who are saying that what she is doing is nonsense. Honestly, the transgender thing is such a red herring. There are less than 1% of Alberta's youth that would be affected by what she's doing. So why is she wasting time, money, and all of this, the challenges in courts, everyone's time wasting it just to attack such a tiny minority? When it comes to transgenderism or hormone replacement therapy, there should really only be a few people involved in the conversation. The kid, their parents or guardians, and the doctor. It's not really any of our business. And this whole charade of, we care about the children, shut up. No, you don't. Because if you did, we would see you out in other places where children need you. But we don't. All we see is these same group of people, these Republican wannabes, Maple MAGA in Canada, always going after the minorities, always waving around this flag like, I'm protecting the youth, But nothing she does actually protects the youth. Let's not forget, she is currently incredibly unpopular because she used the notwithstanding clause to legislate teachers back into the classroom where they were complaining they were having to deal with classroom sizes of sometimes up to 40 students, some of them not speaking English, some of them having special needs that they can't cater to, and the teachers being expected to just carry on with a lesson plan and make sure that the students of Alberta can go ahead and matriculate through school without being left behind. It is a setup for failure. And instead of addressing that problem, instead of giving teachers what they need to actually help youth, and this would have helped a huge percent of Alberta's youth, she just said, fuck you, I'm going to give you a tiny 3% raise and get your ass back into class. This time, though, she had real backlash. I think parents, honestly, and I've said this before, having had a taste of what it was like to school their own children, have a newfound and very well-deserved respect for the work teachers are doing. Kids are not easy to deal with. Having 30 or 40 of them is not a classroom. It's a fucking war zone, okay? Kids don't sit down. They don't pay attention. You have to keep their attention. You have to make sure they learn stuff. You have to make sure they remember it. You have to make sure you can move on to another lesson plan. You have to have you ever babysat? Imagine that. But there's 40 of them and you do it every day. And not only are you charged with feeding them and keeping them alive, you're also charged with making sure they are a functioning member of society, speak the language, and know basic skills like English and math. It is a Herculean task, and they were not asking for a lot. They were asking for those classroom sizes to become smaller, for kids with special needs to get the attention they deserve from actual professionals who can help them, or reduce the class sizes so that the teachers that are there can help them. They were asking for aid, and they were asking for a reasonable wage. And I want people to think about the fact that the government in every province, but including Alberta, has a budget for snacks for when they have meetings. That can stay on the budget. But when teachers need a raise, it's a whole thing, and you're willing to legislate them back to work with a super rare clause, the notwithstanding clause. Why do we have to give you guys hundreds of dollars for every time you meet up to buy yourself snacks? And is everyone entitled to that? Does that mean that if everybody has if every person attending the meeting is able to just write off a couple $100 worth of snacks, are we saying that Canadians and Albertans are paying thousands of dollars for you guys to just DoorDash food to yourselves while you're meeting up, but you don't have the money to put in more teachers' aides? But now you want to bring in a whole new legislation, fight court battles and all this stuff to what? Wink and whistle to your racist cult following, which is a very small representation of the population of Alberta, to just pretend you're a Republican. Republicans are not even popular in America. This bitch is so fucking backwards. She's not even. Read the room. Republicans are going down in flames. People hate them in America. And you're trying to replicate them here. This isn't the only time she's done something like this too. Remember when everyone was taking American booze off the shelf? Alberta was one of the provinces that was like, no, we're going to keep it on there. Traitorous. And now she wants to go and attack trans kids. For what? For what? You're not a doctor. And you know how I know you're wrong? You're being challenged by doctors. This helps no one. Everyone who's obsessed with all of this stuff is not trans themselves. So mind your business. Handle your own house. Raise your own kids. No one's forcing your kids to become trans. I promise you that. When your kids go to school, no one's like whispering to them and passing them some sort of pamphlet. Have you heard the news about trans? Like, no, that's not happening. But they fearmonger so that parents think that that their kids are being indoctrinated in some weird way when they're in school to change your identity. Everyone's like, it's cropping up out of nowhere. It's coming out. You know what else cropped up out of nowhere? Left-handed people. Okay, turns out the more you accept a group in society, the more open they are about existing. People who wrote with their left hand were seen as demonic in Western societies. And so they were hiding it and forcing themselves to learn how to write with their right hand. A bunch of ambidextrous people living on the down low. And people were like, oh, it just kind of came up out of nowhere. Now everyone writes with their left. No, people been writing with their left. They just couldn't say it. People been not identifying with the gender they were assigned at birth and just could not say it. And apparently now that we live in a progressive society where everything is accepted, they're feeling like, you know what? I too can just come out and say, hey, I write with my left hand. But no. Even though it's less than 1% of the population, I'm going to go ahead and make a media spectacle out of it. Make sure that those kids that I'm trying to protect now feel way more unsafe because in addition to the bigotry that exists in people's mind, the government is now affirming that bigotry with this fucking notwithstanding clause, and they're less safe, decidedly less safe because of what you're doing, but you don't fucking care. What are you trying to hide? Obviously, shit is not doing great in Alberta, so she just has to do this stuff, right? That every time they do this type of shit, it's just to cover up some other nonsense that's going on. And I don't doubt that that's the exact same thing that's going on now. She's wildly unpopular. Nobody fucking likes her over there. Her numbers are dropping by the day. She's going on podcasts that only lob her like softball questions. She was on this whole, anti Mark Carney thing. Now she's smiling all up in photos with him because, you know, she's getting the chance she's been dying for to completely wreck Canada's environment in a bid to stay relevant with the most disgusting type of oil you can extract instead of trying to think of a way to future-proof Alberta economy, future-proof the job security over there into something that's renewable. God forbid. I need to send that oil down to the States. Is she an asset of theirs? Because that's how she acts. She acts like she's an American asset sent to somehow cause unrest and instability inside Canada. Like it's a CIA op. Anyhow, Danielle Smith's drama, we'll leave it there. Subscribe if you haven't already. Bred in Captivity, out.